everyone, my name is Marcy Rinken. I am the current Area 34 Director in District 11. I am so glad to be speaking to you specifically today and teaching you a few new things, hopefully, or maybe reminding you of things that you already know that you can put into place for membership magnets. Before we start this training video, I wanted to give you a couple of tips that I like to think of during this training. One, I want to warn you, this is presented by myself primarily, and as a result, sometimes my pacing can be quite quick. I want you to take a moment right now, if you can, pause your video after I finish my sentence, and grab a notebook or piece of paper. Make sure you take good notes. Anytime you hear something that you like and something that might inspire you, take a moment, pause the video, and jot it down. There is nothing worse than listening to someone who is presenting too quickly for you, saying some things that you really like, and then not being able to use those things later. I don't want you to have to watch this 2-hour video again, so take notes along the way that you can reference. Another thing I learned recently that I think is fascinating is to pause. When you do pause the video to write a note, make a note of what the timestamp was in the video at that time. If you want clarification on something, you can go back to the video later and maybe remind or refresh yourself on what that thought was that you were having at that time. I do hope you gain a lot of great ideas and information from this video training series. If you have any questions, I know I put my contact information in this video at least once. You'll have to find that magic place. I do like to have a little fun, so I hope you enjoy the little bits of humor I attempt or try to use during the video. I will be sharing some videos throughout. If you would like some additional training, I did put the links to those videos in this training. You too can be a District 11 video trainer. I think that's about it. I am excited for you to join me on this adventure and let me know what you think at the end. My previous occupation was real estate. I sold residential homes for 10 years with the FC Tucker Company. One of the first things you learn as a real estate agent is that you need to get your own business. You have to recruit new clients. They don't just show up at your doorstep. Or do they? One tradition in real estate is the open house. At an open house, I would have the stage set perfectly. Now, contrary to what some people may think, an open house is not just to sell a house. I don't want to break any hearts by any means, but the open house was one of the primary ways myself and other agents can meet and greet and attain new clients. Whenever we would have an open house, we would take time to prepare. We would have marketing brochures. We'd have information about the property, information on the neighborhood and the schools, the community, what is local, what's close to shopping and restaurants and dining. And we would also make sure we had business cards and marketing material for us. We wanted to showcase what we had to offer our clients. The open house was a primary way I met new clients when I was new to this area. When I was new to Indianapolis, I knew very few people. I had a couple of family members who lived within an hour, and that was about it. From my experience, holding an open house as a real estate agent was a great way to meet people, to let them get to know me and my personality a little bit before we entered into an agent-client relationship. I would have snacks. In addition to the marketing material, I would have bottles of water. I would have signs out at the corners, and I would have a sign on the door that said, "Come in, open house in progress." I was dressed professionally. I was ready to meet all the people. There was only one small problem I ran into. And I would argue this was probably a problem when I was pretty new at being a real estate agent. And that was, while I was ready, the house was ready. The reality was, I didn't really get the word out about my open house. No matter how prepared you may be, if you do not spread the word about what opportunity you have to invite people into the open house, it is not going to breed the success you need. It didn't take long for me to realize I needed to go knock on the neighbors' doors to invite them to the open house. They wanted to see what the house looked like for sale anyways in their neighborhood, so why not bring them in? And then I made sure to advertise on social media through all of the people that I did know, although limited. I would send out an email, I would make phone calls, text messages to make sure I got the most people to my open house as possible. I even got better at where I placed the signs. The result was that my open houses produced more and more people. So not only was I meeting great clients, I was meeting more clients. It gave me a chance to showcase my abilities. It gave me a chance to get to know people before we worked together. That's what I think you can do through hosting a Toastmasters open house. Welcome to Membership Magnets. My name is Marcy Rinken. I am so excited to share with you the experiences that I have had and other Toastmasters have had in presenting different types of membership magnets. The first magnet we're going to get into during this training is the open house. If you've ever conducted a Toastmaster open house, you may already have the skills needed for conducting another open house. If you already have the experience in conducting an open house, maybe it's time to consider hosting another open house at your club. Are you having difficulty attracting new members? Are you looking for something to spice up your meetings? This is where a Toastmasters open house would be a perfect opportunity. Not only does it give you and your club members time for fellowship and experiencing each other in a more casual setting, it also opens the doors for potential new members to join your club. Some of the things you'll hear in this training, you have probably heard before, and some things maybe will spark some new ideas. When I'm looking for ideas on what to do and how to present, I like to go to YouTube. You can search YouTube for just about anything, which I'm sure you're well aware. When it comes to Toastmasters, there are a lot of people who are experienced Toastmasters that share their knowledge, share their expertise and experience through YouTube. Here are a couple of examples. The first one is a Toastmaster open house invitation. The second one is a great tutorial on how to create a list and plan for an open house. Please visit YouTube to see the full videos.
And I want to share with you some tips, strategies about how to create a checklist for a successful Toastmasters open house. Open houses are important. The purpose is for you guys to recruit new members, let the community know or people know what you guys got going on, so ultimately you can recruit. So here's some things that you can do to make a big difference.
Toastmasters International has training videos on YouTube as well. You can get ideas for marketing and promotion, and also ideas on what to do in your Toastmaster open house. To show you some of the things that Toastmasters has to offer, I'd like to try to share my screen through this recording and show you how to access those materials. We are going to go to the Toastmasters International website. When you get there, you're going to either log in or just go over to this search bar. You don't actually have to log in to access a lot of materials that Toastmasters has to offer. So if you have lost your login information for some reason, it's okay. You can still get there through this search bar. We're going to type in open house. It's going to produce a very large list of items that you can access. Anything from flyers to presentations to news releases. There are a lot of resources here. If you want to do it the other way, you can go to the resource tab, go to the resource library, and then simply search open house. A slideshow that we used in our club was this slideshow here. There's a downloadable PowerPoint you can use for this. You can use the marketing materials over here. There's a news release if you want to share it via a local news station. There are different types of flyers you can use, different templates depending on your color choice that are the standard Toastmasters colors. And I'm going to open the downloaded version of the open house. So this is what it would look like. It has places for you to insert your club name. It talks about what Toastmasters is, what members will learn by joining. It talks about the club experience. It introduces them to what Pathways is, a brief glimpse into Pathways. It talks about how the evaluation process works. There's also a slide about learning beyond the club. It also talks about the affordability of Toastmasters. Another slide here is a preview of the overall club experience, which they're going to see already on your agenda, but this highlights the different sections of the meeting experience. And then there's a call to action at the end of the slideshow. This slideshow would be wonderful to have for one of your presentations at your open house. Now that you know where the resources are, let's talk about what goes into planning an open house. A few years ago, a friend of mine and I approached the pastor at our church and asked if we could host a women's event. We wanted to do an all-day event where we would have speakers and breakouts and opportunities for people to get to know one another, to have breakfast and lunch, just a really great day to renew us in our faith. Our pastor was excited about it and he said, yeah, this sounds great. You can do it. So we went to work. We had all the details planned. We were super excited about putting on this amazing day for these women. When we called the pastor back in to chat with us, he kind of went, whoa, 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 whoa. Ladies, before you get so involved in planning, you need to make sure you're going to have people attend. Well, I mean, of course, everyone's going to show up because we're making something happen. So people are just going to magically appear, right? While we were in the midst of planning, we learned we had to invite people along the way, not just once it was planned. While that was difficult for me, I love to get into the details of planning and then do the marketing. I learned that was the best way to make sure that our event would be a success. We had a goal of having 30 women attend the day. We were starting to promote it, share it on Facebook and social media through the friends that we knew, telling everyone to invite everyone. I sent a message to my gazillion family members that I now have as the family keeps expanding and growing. The number of people we invited grew and grew and grew. We started checking the registrations to see how we were doing, and we were up to 20 people. It was so exciting. And then the numbers grew and grew. By the time we were finalizing our plans, we had to talk about whether we should limit the participation. We set a goal of having 30 women attend that day. On the day of the event, we made sure to have enough space for over 110 women to be in attendance. Now, how's that for a great turnout? No matter how well you plan, your plan will not go well if you do not have the people to come into your open house. Let's take a moment to talk about planning, what your open house can look like, and maybe some expectations to set when you are preparing your open house. Why are open houses important in Toastmasters? Not unlike other organizations, when you're trying to recruit members or grow your membership, you want to invite more people into the experience. An open house is the perfect opportunity to show people outside of your club what the experience can look like. The open house allows you to give a first impression for people who have not been exposed to Toastmasters. An open house is a great way for your club members to demonstrate the skills they have been working on. An open house is a great way to increase your membership. Open houses encourage your members to invite guests to the meeting. When you consider hosting an open house at your club, it works as a great follow-up to a Moments of Truth. When you are planning an open house for your club, it is important to remember it takes a team. You can try to plan an open house all by yourself, but consider this. Look at your Pathways project. There are many things required for leadership experience. One of those is the HPL project, the High Performance Leadership Project. The High Performance Leadership Project is required to earn your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. We had a club member this past year conduct an open house, which served as his High Performance Leadership Project. Through that project, he created a team of people who came together and executed a wonderful open house. We had a great turnout, and the result was that more people were exposed to the club and the membership increased over the coming months. Using the open house as a leadership project allows you to work with your club members and makes it a lot easier on you to have a successful open house. When you share the responsibilities, when you delegate the roles, it's going to make your life a lot easier. You can do this by setting up Zoom calls or over the phone meetings with your team members. We met weekly for about 30 minutes or so to discuss all of the things that needed to take place in order to have the open house. Start by creating a checklist. I love a to-do list and I love a checklist. If you don't know what is involved in conducting a club open house, we'll go through those steps here in a moment. But know that there are resources available online. You can search for open house checklist on Google and you will see different districts and different individual Toastmasters who have come up with some really great lists. As you're creating your checklist of things to use in your open house, in the planning of your open house, keep one thing in mind. What is your objective with your club open house? I hope the objective is to showcase your club and bring in new membership. If that is the case, how many guests do you need to invite in to add to your membership? If you're going for additional distinguished club points, make it a goal of 4 new members. That's 1 distinguished club point. If it takes 4 or 5 guests in order to get a new member, you're probably looking to invite 20 or more guests to your open house. If everyone in your club were to invite 3 people for the chance that one of them may attend, maybe more, that would be a great way to start. You don't have to limit invitations to people in your club and people they know. You can reach back out to people that used to be a member of your club You can reach out to people who are affiliated with the organization that's hosting your club. You can reach out to whatever shops or businesses are near your club meeting location. Be creative, be inventive, use social media, use the local news media, use all resources and outlets that you have at your disposal. Ask your team members who are working with you to put on the open house their thoughts and their ideas in promotion. One thing we did during one of our regular club meetings is we had 5 flyers and we split up into groups of 3 people. We went around the entire complex where we meet regularly and personally invited people that already work there in that location. As a result, we had an additional 10 people attend the open house. Another thing you can think about in promotion is utilizing the resources that Toastmasters has available to you. Reach out to your area director, reach out to your division director, the district leadership. There are resources and also an incredible network of people who can help promote your upcoming open house. District 11 has a Facebook page. If you're not on the Facebook page, I encourage you to join. It's a great way to not only discuss what's going on in Toastmasters, but also promote things going on in your club. Toastmasters International also has a Facebook page. As you plan your open house, think about the things you want included in the open house. Consider having a theme for the meeting. In the open house we had last year, we had a theme of communication through the years. It just so happened that the open house we had landed on October 4th, 10/4. Suddenly we had this idea of what if it was about communication? 10/4, good buddy. We had some corded phones, some cell phones, some old Nokia handheld phones, some walkie-talkies, I believe. We used the different types of communication through the years as decor for our open house. As you think about your agenda, it's going to be modeled just like a regular Toastmasters meeting. You could even think of it as a demonstration meeting. When new clubs are established, there's something called a demo meeting. If you've ever been part of it, it simply is a demonstration using experienced Toastmasters to showcase what a Toastmasters meeting looks like. Once the club is established and has met the membership requirements, the club is then left on its own to conduct the future meetings. Maybe think about your open house as a demonstration meeting. What ways can you showcase what Toastmasters has to offer? During the portion of the meeting where you would normally have prepared speeches, have someone who is experienced give their testimony about Toastmasters. Maybe they could share about where they were before they joined Toastmasters and then their progress through Toastmasters up to today. You can have an experienced Toastmaster talk about the benefits of Toastmasters. They can go through the slideshow I showed you, or they can talk about their own personal experience. Maybe you could even consider having one person talk about the numbers and what it's like to be in Toastmasters just before the invitation to join. You could start by having someone talk about their experience in Toastmasters. And then you could follow that up with someone giving the details of what it is to join Toastmasters. Then that could be followed by the call to action or the actual invitation to join Toastmasters. For the open house our club held last year, we had 3 Toastmasters give their individual testimonies. Just like a regular Toastmasters meeting, we had time for table topics. You want to make sure you start with experienced Toastmasters being the first ones called up. You may want to consider some simple questions to get the guests to come up front to participate. Don't forget, just like in a regular Toastmasters meeting, that you want to get the permission of the guests before you call them up to participate. Not all guests will be comfortable coming up right away. Some guests may not be interested in coming up right away. After they've heard a few people give their impromptu speeches, they might be more likely to agree. As you consider the format for your overall agenda, remember that these new individuals exposed to Toastmasters may have additional questions after the meeting. This might be worth considering as you're planning how long to have your meeting. Is your meeting going to fit within a 1 hour time period, or should you extend it to 1.5 hours? Maybe you want to consider lengthening the time for the open house to allow for additional fellowship even before or after the meeting. Consider having a pitch-in or food. Have your individual club members each bring a dish or a snack or something to share. Have someone assigned to bring in the plates and napkins and forks and spoons and knives. Have someone else who is going to bring cups and drinks. Once you have your agenda lined up and you have the time slots and everything filled, you've got your presenters, you've got time for impromptu, make sure you have time for evaluations, just as in a regular Toastmasters meeting. I would challenge you to give every guest the opportunity to speak. If your club doesn't normally do introductions at the beginning of a meeting, perhaps go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves with something simple about themselves. Like, is this your first time attending a Toastmasters meeting? That way your answers are short and it doesn't detract from the time in the rest of the meeting. You also want to make sure there's time towards the end of the meeting to give all guests the opportunity to give their perspective or their thoughts on the meeting as a whole. If you have a lot of guests, this can take a good deal of time. You may even want to encourage the guests to give 1 or 2 statements as opposed to an open-ended question of how did you feel about the meeting? The question could be phrased, what are 1 or 2 takeaways you have from this experience? There are other suggestions for things that you can have in your agenda that I have heard previously. Sometimes you may run out of time for them, but there's something to consider having. You could have some sort of word game or other kind of social game to break the ice. You can look up online what types of games and activities other Toastmasters clubs have used during a club open house. When you think about the overall impact you want to have on your guests for your open house, I want you to consider the following list of do's and don'ts. Do plan ahead. Don't not plan. Hey guys, I've got this great idea. We're going to have a club open house. I know, I'm excited too. You know what? Let's do it next week. Do speak. Don't read your speech. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Today, I am going to talk about the importance of Toastmaster membership and why you should be a member. I have been a Toastmaster since 2013. I really like Toastmasters because it has taught me so much about public speaking. Do be yourself. Don't be someone else. My name is Edna. Can you see me okay, Billy? Do use gestures when appropriate. Don't Direct a plane. Do use humor. Don't only be serious. Toastmasters is very serious business. Do make eye contact. Don't look lost. Let me tell you all about Toastmasters. It is amazing. I really like being a member of Toastmasters. It's been so good. You would not believe how much I have gained from all the years of experience in Toastmasters. It's really fantastic when you think about it. Do invite participation. Don't put people on the spot. Do be confident. Speak clearly. Don't babble. Once you have a great idea of what you want to go into your open house, meet with your team who is going to help you put it together. Make sure you have a checklist of all things that are going to need to take place. Then you can delegate the different responsibilities. Make sure you set a timeline for marketing and preparing for your open house. I would encourage you to take at least 1 month, if not 2 or 3, so that you can have enough time to prepare your marketing, to get the necessary people involved from your club, and also have time to reach out and advertise and truly get the best amount of guests there possible. Outside of the agenda, something else you want to make sure you have are information packets. Your club may already have information packets that have a Toastmasters magazine or what to know about Toastmasters and even a membership application. But no matter what, make sure you do have it for the open house. You will get new members from your open house, so you'll want to make sure you have those readily available. Make sure you have a guest registration at the open house. Capture their name, their email, their phone number if they'll allow it. Once the open house is complete, take time to write thank you cards, send an email, maybe even make a follow-up phone call to all people who have attended. If you want additional information on how to host an open house or where to find these resources, don't hesitate to reach out to me or reach out to your club president, your area director, your division director, or even the district trio. All of us are here to help you. We want you to succeed, and we want your club membership to grow. That's it. Follow all of these tips, have a plan in place, and make it an awesome open house experience. Through the use of an open house, your club is going to be a membership magnet.
Once they realize all the things that they've improved upon, they may want more.
How would you like to have a tool that attracts new members to your club? What if that tool was designed to bring in new Toastmasters who would complete level 1 of pathways within the first 2 months? What if the tool also got new members acclimated to the Toastmaster Pathways learning experience? Just imagine. Your club is strengthened. You suddenly find it easier to gain distinguished club points. In a 2-month period of time, you have at least 4 new level 1 achievements. Your club is well on its way to being a distinguished club. Are you intrigued?
I'm excited to begin this journey and look forward to sharing the results.
You and your club can choose to conduct a Toastmasters Speechcraft program. The Speechcraft experience is modeled to be a similar experience to a Toastmasters member experience. You may conduct Speechcraft during your regularly scheduled meetings, or you can choose another time with your club as the host. I would like to show you through my recent experience of conducting a Speechcraft program what the experience can look like. Many years ago, I thought it'd be great to have a club for business professionals right here in my local area, a club that met during the lunch hour. As a mom of 6 kids, I really don't have time in the evenings to commit to just one more thing. I didn't want to get in over my head or start something from scratch. The idea of beginning a new club was put on the back burner and was just a dream. I have met a lot of people in my local community who have been interested in Toastmasters. They told me that the meeting times and locations just wouldn't work for their schedule. Then this past year, I learned about the Toastmasters Speechcraft program. You can use the program in your regular meetings, or you can host it at another time, even for a business or organization, to introduce them to Toastmasters. Then the idea came to me. I saw an opportunity to create a new club, a daytime club. If this introduces people to Toastmasters and I still have a dream of creating a new club, maybe, just maybe, Speechcraft was the key. I went into research mode. I read through all the materials I could get my hands on through the international website. I watched videos and tutorials. I even watched the marketing videos that are prepared for people who are interested in exploring Speechcraft as an attendee.
Hi friends! Do you have to speak before a group, in person or online, much like I'm speaking to you now? Speaking success is tied to life success, often through little milestones, such as a job interview, an important work presentation, a graduate dissertation, or even a social speech, such as a wedding toast. If you have any of these, or another speaking engagement coming up, Toastmasters International can help you prepare and practice through its Speechcraft program. Since 1924, Toastmasters is synonymous with excellence in public speaking, offering education and training in club settings. But you don't have to be a member to get the benefit of Speechcraft. For your convenience, Speechcraft is a condensed version of what Toastmasters offers its members and is available to you in 4, 6, or 8-week programs. Sign up for a Speechcraft event today.
You will have the opportunity to meet 4 Speechcrafters and follow along on their 6-week journey through Speechcraft. Before you meet the Speechcrafters, let's see what goes into planning and preparation. For this training, you will see some of the videos that Toastmasters International provides online. I will also be giving you the process that I went through individually as I prepared with my team of volunteers the Speechcraft sessions.
Hello, I'm Jessie. When you coordinate a Speechcraft event, you will need to become familiar with the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp. Today, we're going to walk through the coordinator experience so you can learn where to access session guides, Speechcrafter profiles, the Speechcrafter Learning, and many other resources. As you may have learned from the Quick Start Guide, you will begin on the Speechcraft Gateway. Be sure to bookmark the Gateway web address for future reference. You will access the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp from this site every time you visit. Since this is your first visit, we're going to look at the options on the Coordinator homepage. It's similar to your homepage on Basecamp for your Pathways Learning experience, but there are a few important differences. You will notice the top box on the left will take you to your Speechcraft Coordinator materials. In your transcript, you will find a How to Get Started curriculum, along with all your session guides and the Speechcrafter Learning. Be sure to review everything in your transcript before you begin organizing your Speechcraft event. It will help you to plan and prepare your volunteers. For our review today, we're going to return to the Coordinator homepage to look at the quick links designed to help you get started and easily manage your Speechcraft event. On the right side of your homepage, there are 5 tiles that will take you directly to different materials you will need. The first, Introduction, will open the Speechcraft Coordinator's introduction. This project will guide you through the Speechcraft program basics and help you understand everything you need to know to successfully lead a Speechcraft event. Back on your Coordinator homepage, you will see a second tile that takes you directly to the Speechcraft Coordinator Planning project. This project is designed to provide a step-by-step guide for planning your sessions. It includes information about recruiting volunteers and schedules for what to do in the weeks and days ahead of your first session. The third tile on the right side of your Coordinator homepage is a direct link to the Resources page. On this page, you can find quick links to agendas, evaluations, and outlines that you may use yourself or share with your volunteers or invited speakers. All the resources available here are specific to Speechcraft. Below the Resources tile, the next tile will provide you with a quick link to access the Speechcrafter Learning. The final tile on the right side of your homepage will take you to the Speechcraft dashboards. If you have been a Basecamp manager for your club, you might be familiar with the dashboards, but these are a little different. They will include the Speechcrafters' speech completions once they are approved by you, your Speechcrafters' responses to their self-assessments, and a list of which Speechcrafters have started their learning. Once you are ready to begin organizing your sessions, it's a good idea to review all the content associated with each session. Regardless of whether you intend to hold 8 sessions or fewer, you need to be familiar with everything available to you so you can make well-informed decisions about what to include in each session and how to direct your Speechcrafters to complete their learning. To provide quick access to each of the sessions, links are included on the coordinator homepage on the left side. By selecting the Launch button next to each session, you can go directly to that session. This is a quick way to review the session or access any of the many resources that are specific to that session. Under the Speechcrafter Sessions menu, you will see a direct link to the Speechcrafter Speech Validation tool. This is a new process for Speechcraft coordinators that will help track Speechcrafter speeches so they can receive credit for the speeches they completed when they join a Toastmasters club. To learn how to use this tool, be sure to review the speech validation tutorial that is part of your How to Get Started curriculum. The final button on the coordinator homepage is for quick access to chat and feedback. This will link you directly to the messaging page where you can view messages and feedback requests sent by your Speechcrafters. If you want to leave a message or badge for a Speechcrafter in your event, search for them by name to access their profile. And then navigate to the messaging feedback page. There are also new badges that were designed specifically for Speechcraft participants. If your group plans to use the messaging feature on Basecamp, remind them that they'll want to check their chat and feedback button each time they log in to see if they've received any new messages. And that concludes the overview of the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp. As a reminder, all the learning and resources available on Basecamp are designed to support your live sessions. Use these resources in any way that will best align with how you have structured your course. And above all, have fun. I hope you and your Speechcrafters enjoy this online digital experience.
There are options on how you can proceed once you've decided you'd like to put on a Speechcraft program. You can use the Speechcraft program as a project in Pathways. My role in the Speechcraft program is called the Speechcraft Coordinator. Now, the way that you conduct a Speechcraft program may not look the same as the way I conducted mine. You are encouraged to tailor the program to fit the goals of your club or the organization you're conducting the program for. I created an overall plan using the resources that Toastmasters International provides online. Agendas, topics to focus on, and outlines for speeches were also part of the online program. The best first step is to approach your club officers. If you are a club officer, bring the idea up at your next business meeting. The cost for the Speechcraft bundle on Toastmasters is $50 for every 5 Speechcraft participants. You may petition your club to cover the cost, or you can charge a fee for each participant to cover the cost. I ended up doing both. I approached my club officers for support in putting on the program. For me, I knew the plan was not to host it during our regular club meetings, but I still wanted their support. For my experience, I charged the participants $10. The club officers agreed to offset the cost, and I had members of my club in the program roles that needed to be filled. One thing is very clear from Toastmasters: you cannot profit from presenting a Speechcraft program. You can build up a treasury if you're going to start a new club with the Speechcraft, but you cannot profit personally from the Toastmasters training. Then I considered how many participants I wanted to have in attendance. I kind of was thinking 10, maybe 15 people, but then I quickly learned I needed an equal number of volunteers who were already experienced Toastmasters to support my endeavor. That's when I hand-selected 5 individuals whom I knew to join the Speechcraft program I was going to be presenting. I selected a location to host the meetings. I actually joined the VFW so I could use it as a meeting location. I had been wanting to join the VFW for a while now, so it ended up being a win-win. Since Toastmasters is a nonprofit organization, the VFW waived the rental fees for the use of their meeting space. Then I selected dates and times that I wanted to meet. Scheduling would probably be the primary reason for you to do a Speechcraft in your club setting. That way, the volunteers who act as mentors don't have to have an extra commitment by being involved in your program. They're already there for your weekly meeting or bi-weekly meeting. I wanted to test out the daytime meeting on Thursdays, since that's when we would meet if a club does get established from this experience. I chose to host the program over a 6-week session in order to avoid the holidays. We met for 90 minutes in order to cover more material. I mentioned I had individuals from my club as volunteers, but I also recruited people I knew from a couple other area clubs. You will need experienced Toastmasters on your team for a few different purposes. The Speechcraft sessions look very similar to a typical Toastmasters meeting. You have several roles to fill for each session. For my sessions, I acted as the Toastmaster, but we also had a timer, evaluators, a table topics master, and we had a general evaluator. The second way experienced Toastmasters will be involved is for the education presentations. Each session had 1 or 2 4 to 6 minute speeches presented by a guest on the different topics pertaining to skills in public speaking. I had a different speaker present on each topic. I really wanted the participants to see a variety of experienced speakers to see the difference in presentation styles. One of the most important reasons for having experienced Toastmasters involvement in your Speechcraft sessions is for the role of the Speechcraft guide. By design, a Speechcraft guide will accompany each Speechcrafter through the entire program. There's time set aside at each session for the guides to meet with their mentee one-on-one for 10 minutes. That gives them an opportunity to review their evaluation from their presentation and to help them prepare for their next speech project. For my Speechcraft program, I knew I would not have the same volunteer Toastmasters involved at each session. I knew that some of them had schedule conflicts. I was able to make it work. I ended up rotating the mentors each session. The Speechcrafters seemed to really enjoy the variety of presentations and mentors. Toastmasters even recommends considering local leaders to be presenters of your education sessions. We had a former Toastmaster who is an auctioneer give a presentation on vocal variety.
If we're selling a grandfather clock, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a grandfather clock, and how much you want to give? Somebody get 300, I have 100, 100 and a quarter, 100 and a half, 175, 200, sold, 2 and a quarter. Well, you don't know what I said. It's too fast. So people won't participate in the bidding, so speed is very important.
How cool is that? Not only did the participants learn aspects of public speaking, they were witnessing people who use the same skills in a professional setting outside of Toastmasters. As I mentioned before, you can truly tailor the program to fit whatever needs you have. For the 4 individuals you will see highlighted in this training video, they didn't have just a one-time event they needed to prepare a speech for. They are each using public speaking skills in their daily professions. I believe you can accomplish a lot and make the most improvement when it is frequent and focused. I had the participants on their feet to speak up to 4 times each meeting, in the introductions, during table topics, when they were presenting, and then from the 4th session on when they were evaluating each other. For some experienced Toastmasters, the 6-week program I coordinated might sound more like a public speaking boot camp than an introduction of Toastmasters. If you are conducting a Speechcraft, you may want it to be at a different pace than what I'm sharing with you. I want to walk you through how our sessions were structured to give you an idea of the overall experience as a coordinator, as a volunteer, and as a Speechcraft participant. No matter which one of these roles you hold, whether you present a program or whether you're part of a program, I hope that this allows you to better understand what it is that is involved. I opened the meetings just like many Toastmasters clubs. I invited everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by reading the club mission statement. Since we had frequent guests and changes in which Toastmasters would be available to assist, I made sure to take time at the beginning of the meeting to go around the room for introductions. I would introduce the timer. In order to cover a great deal of material in the 6-week course, all speeches were 4 to 6 minutes in length. Table topics were the typical 2 minutes. We would then go right into a table topic session. For the first meeting, I had the table topics master explain how table topics worked. Then we had the participants jump right in to impromptu speaking. We kept it simple for the first session. We asked everyone the same question. What do you hope to get out of your experience with Speechcraft? You can have 1 or 2 experienced Toastmasters model what a table topics would be prior to having the Speechcrafters up front. It actually wasn't until the 3rd meeting that we had experienced Toastmasters participate in the table topics prior to them presenting. The method actually worked really well for this particular group of Speechcrafters. Funny enough, the next time we met, we had a table topics master that asked a variety of questions, which was expected by me. I had planned for them to ask a variety of questions. However, the Speechcrafters assumed they were going to get the same question as the person before them, and then to watch how resilient they were when they realized they would actually have to be speaking on a different topic and how well they did. After the table topics, the Speechcrafters would deliver their own presentations that they'd been working on the week before. The first speech is an icebreaker speech for 2 to 3 minutes. Every speech after the icebreaker was a 4 to 6 minute speech. They would use the skills that they used in the previous session and apply it to their next week's speech. Speechcraft participants are not required to have a prepared presentation for each meeting. They do have an opportunity to speak at every session. The group of participants that I had spoke and presented at every possible meeting they were at. As a result, they grew tremendously. Not only were they getting up front to practice impromptu speaking, they presented something prepared every session. I cannot even believe how much improvement they made in just 6 weeks' time. They're rock stars, right? The Speechcraft guides would evaluate the speeches after those were completed. Once I knew which experienced Toastmasters were going to be present at the meeting, I would assign them a mentee, which they would evaluate and also meet with one-on-one during the speaker guide portion of the meeting. Evaluations are the same as you would expect in a Toastmasters meeting. By the time we got to session 4, I had the Speechcraft participants evaluate each other. It was amazing. It offered a crash course into Toastmaster learning, and it gave them real-time experiences, which challenged them to grow in such a short amount of time. After evaluations, we would have the guest speaker present the education session. These were also 4 to 6 minute speeches on the topics used to introduce speaking skills. The topics I used during my Speechcraft were speech organization, introducing a speaker, speech purpose, body language, and vocal variety. There are at least 1 or 2 more topics you could cover if you are doing an 8-week course. Toastmasters provides the Speechcraft coordinator with outlines to use for each of the available topics. I use those resources to provide the guest speakers with the outline so they could see the objectives for the skill they would be presenting on. I also allowed the guest speakers to use their own discretion on how they presented. If they didn't want to stick to the exact outline, it would be okay. For example, I had one guest speak about body language. He ended up giving a persuasive speech focused on the use of body language. After the education session, I would review the homework for the week. Now, whether you conduct a Speechcraft in 4 sessions, 6, or 8, you will be given the resources to use online for each of those increments. I would simply review what we learned this week and look ahead to what would be coming up. The participants would need to go online to access their training through the Speechcraft portal, which looks very much like Basecamp for us, but it is a separate site. That way they could gain the most from their experience in the program. Then we would go into the speaker guide workshop. That's where the mentors met with the mentees for 10 minutes. They were able to jump into their evaluation a little bit further and also think about what they were going to do for their next presentation. The way that Speechcraft is set up through Toastmasters, they recommend having one guide for one mentee. The way I had to do it, though, with the schedule conflicts, was to switch up the mentor-mentee relationship each time. Just like in a Toastmasters meeting, we had a general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. Since we did not use a Wordmaster grammarian or an evaluator for the education session, we utilized the general evaluator role to cover those bases in case something was missed in those areas. At the end of each session, I would answer any questions before dismissing for the week.
The Speechcraft program gives you templates that you can use. I am going to be using a 6-session Speechcraft. Toastmasters does recommend that you do 8 if you can. The most important thing is that you model it and tailor it to what the needs are for your club or for the organization you are conducting a Speechcraft for. I am finishing the folders I have created for the Speechcrafters. This folder I'm creating has a couple of the first projects in it. Some of the Speechcrafters have logged on to start the program, but not everyone has had a chance to see the materials. So I've printed off the first session here with the resources provided from Toastmasters. And then over here, I have an evaluation resource that they can follow along with as we do evaluations during our first session.
Here's a great tutorial that you can use to show you what the experience might be like for your Speechcrafters as you prepare a
Hello,
Speechcraft program.
I'm Jessie. If you're coordinating a Speechcraft event, you might already be familiar with the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp. This is where you access your coordinator materials and track progress for your participants, also known as Speechcrafters. The Speechcrafters participating in your event will also access their learning using the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp. But their experience is slightly different from that of a coordinator. Today, we're going to walk through the Speechcrafter experience so you can become familiar with what your participants see. To access the Speechcraft portal, participants will begin on the Speechcraft gateway. Once they've logged in, they'll click Go and be transported to Basecamp. When Speechcrafters log in for the first time, they're encouraged to start by taking the self-assessment before. This creates a baseline for their experience and will help you as a coordinator gauge what they learn and how their skills develop. As you can see, there are 3 self-assessments that Speechcrafters complete during the course. Your coordinator materials will provide information about when you should prompt participants to complete each one. Once the Speechcrafter has completed an assessment, it will no longer show in this list. Additionally, their responses will be recorded here on the Speechcraft dashboards. Speechcrafters will have access to view their own responses to the before, midway, and after assessments at any time. Once a Speechcrafter has completed an assessment, they'll need to refresh this page, then hover over a dashboard, select the arrow in the upper right corner, and click View Details to see their exact responses. As a coordinator, you have access to a similar report that allows you to see the assessment responses of all participants in your course. After participants have completed the first self-assessment, they'll be waiting to hear from you, their coordinator, about what they should do next. You may want to contact them before your sessions begin and ask that they review the introduction in the Speechcraft learning. To access their learning, Speechcrafters will simply click this learning button on the Basecamp homepage. You may recognize the Speechcrafter learning from your coordinator materials. You have access to this item as well to help you prepare for your session. When Speechcrafters launch and begin their learning, they'll be taken to a menu that lists all sessions. If you want them to review the introduction or a specific session, simply direct them to this menu. From the Speechcrafter learning, participants can download resources, such as evaluations and outlines. These resources are also available from the Tutorials and Resources page. It is recommended that you advise Speechcrafters which resources they should download ahead of each session. On their learning page, Speechcrafters also have a coordinator tracking curriculum. This curriculum will be reviewed by World Headquarters to confirm the credit each participant is eligible for in Pathways after joining a Toastmasters club. Each time a participant completes a speech, you will use the speech validation tool to mark the corresponding item complete. For more information about using this tool and tracking speech completion, review the speech validation tutorial in your How to Get Started curriculum. When you mark speeches complete, participants receive badges that they can view on the My Badges page. In addition to badges earned by completing speeches, Speechcrafters in your course can award badges to each other. This process is similar to what you may be familiar with in Pathways. Participants type a name into the search bar, click the name, and then navigate to the messaging feedback page. Here, they can award badges and leave messages for other participants, or even for you as the coordinator. Keep in mind that if your Speechcraft includes more than 5 Speechcrafters, they'll be set up in separate events in the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp. You will be able to message with the Speechcrafters who are listed in the event you've logged in under, up to 5 Speechcrafters at a time. If your group plans to use the messaging feature on Basecamp, remind them that they'll want to check their chat and feedback button each time they log in to see if they've received any new messages. And that concludes the overview of how Speechcrafters interact with the Speechcraft portal on Basecamp. As a reminder, all the learning and resources available on Basecamp are designed to support your live sessions. Encourage participants to use these resources in the way that will best align with how you have structured your course. Most of all, have fun. I hope you and your Speechcrafters enjoy your experience to the fullest.
When the Speechcrafters finish the Speechcraft, they will be able to join Toastmasters if they should choose to do so. Speeches that they have given up to that point will all apply to their level 1 project. Awesome, huh?
So Speechcraft is the #1 membership building tool of Toastmasters International. They publicize it that way. It's a fact because so many people that complete the course will join a club someday. So that's why I believe in Speechcraft. If it leads people to Toastmasters, I believe in it.
Others tell me that even though I'm a hot mess in my brain, that I don't come across that way.
Everyone was really helpful and really gave you a lot of confidence and made you want to come back the next week.
My experience with Speechcrafters was amazing.
My goal coming into Speechcrafters was to hone some of the art of the craft of speaking.
Let's take a closer look at what the Speechcraft experience is like. Table topics is an important part of any Toastmasters meeting. That is no different for Speechcraft. We had experienced Toastmasters present before the Speechcrafters, but not until the third meeting.
I can get knocked down, get put down, even laid down, but knowing I got that opportunity to get back up and to try again was the best quote I had.
He got home last night and he goes, man, all that work I did raking those leaves, and the yard is filled right back up.
Food, and that food would have to be pizza. You can't just devour pizza all day long, every day. Pepperoni and sausage, or just the meat lovers in general.
Those ages are very challenging anyway, but tell them not to do something, what are they gonna do? They're gonna do it. My family walks around singing Christmas tunes November 1st, just to bug me. And I'm like, stop, get away from me, stop. So no, my role in my house is that tree cannot come out until the Friday after Thanksgiving.
After just 2 sessions, you could see the confidence increasing in every single participant. 2 of the speakers you will see featured here have used a lot of public speaking skills in their careers, and they're still growing. The other 2 participants are learning how to grow their careers by learning the art of public speaking. Here are some clips from their speeches during weeks 3, 5, and 6.
There's a gentleman named Sonetta, and he is Kenyan. And he chose to organize a mission trip for this summer for a group of us from the church to go not so much on a working mission, which my wife and child have done before, where they built stoves. Caveat emptor, which is Latin for buyer beware. The whole principle was that the merchant could get away with whatever they could get away with, and it was up to the buyer to protect themselves. And then we had a consumerism movement with Ralph Nader and some higher principles of let's find ways.
First, let me take you back to 2017. I was at a leadership summit with my husband, and we were the top 2% of the company we were with. And they took all the people in that room and organized us into 4 different quadrants. Also, consider how much exposure you're getting to antibacterial products. Maybe when possible, use good old-fashioned soap and water instead of reaching for the hand sanitizing gel. Every time we use anything on our skin, it has a way of making it into our bloodstream and affecting our gut.
It can all feel so overwhelming. Kelsey Patel, a Los Angeles-based expert, says people are feeling lonelier and less able to unwind and slow down, which makes them feel more anxious and more overwhelmed by even the simplest task. So how can we prevent burnout and even depression from this always on-the-go lifestyle? Self-care. PTO you speak of. And that began my journey into volunteering and community service. At first, I sat in the back room, kind of like Brian tried to do today. I sat in the back of the room. I didn't want anybody to know who I was. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to be overly involved. But then, since then, I've gone on to sit on 6 boards in at least 10 different positions. I had no intention of taking my volunteer work and earning an award. But I got the award, and it sits on my desk. And every day, it's a reminder of what I've done for the community and what I have to do still.
If you're talking to an active duty person or a veteran, they'll all have different experiences, undoubtedly, several different answers and perspectives, but you definitely get many similarities to what I'm about to explain to you. When you drain to 3, or the sound of like the dribble of a basketball, and for me it was, if you want to press this around, it's a little dirty, but for me it's like the feeling of the fuzz on the ball.
This is really an invaluable experience for you guys. And just from the last meeting I was that I was to this meeting, the improvement, you guys.
The participants in the Speechcraft I hosted recently jumped right in to every facet of Toastmasters. One of those ways was through evaluations. By the third meeting, they had learned how to evaluate each other in their speech projects.
Out the gate, really clear, your voice projection was really strong, and it was just super solid.
You explained a somewhat complex topic simply and understandably, and there's nothing confusing about it. And you ended with a quote from the same person, which is great.
I thought that was good of you. You are great with your hand motions to kind of bring it into yourself. I like that.
Then combining the gestures and the humor when you're in the shower, you touch the thing, and that you instantly could identify, like, I don't want to touch that shower curtain either.
What did you guys think overall of evaluating? Do you feel like you listen a little bit differently while you're evaluating?
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it?
I feel like I'm distracted though, because I'm like, do I need to make a note of that? Do I need to?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I need to listen, so
Yeah.
it's hard, that multitask is hard for me.
One of the things I needed most from Toastmasters was sitting still and listening. Learning how to evaluate was the #1 thing I think I have gained in all my years at Toastmasters, which is 10 years. When I was first evaluating, I was scared to death. Sometimes you can be really meticulous in detail, or sometimes you can do higher level, how did I feel about that whole presentation? Something you'll learn if you continue in Toastmasters is that you'll see lots of different evaluation styles.
The way the Speechcraft program is set up, there is an opportunity each meeting to have an education presentation. I had volunteers from different local Toastmasters clubs. There are 8 different topics that Toastmasters provides for you to use during the Speechcraft sessions. For the 6 sessions that I presented, we used the value of improving public speaking skills, selecting a speech topic. I had a guest from my home club teach on speech organization. I had a guest from the Vineyard Toastmasters speak on introducing a speaker. I had another member of my home club present on speech purpose. In addition, our club president spoke on body language. I invited someone from the community to give a speech on vocal variety. The additional topics you have available to you in the online portal are word choice and research. The Speaker Guide Workshop is a portion of the sessions that really gives the mentors or the speaker guides an opportunity to meet with the participants one-on-one. Each meeting we would set aside at least 10 minutes for speaker guides to talk about how the presentation went that day and what steps they could take to improve. They also discussed what they might talk about at their next presentation. The Speechcraft program gives the coordinator a list of things to look for when selecting your Speechcraft guides. This can be members of your club or even members of other clubs that you have relationships with. I used several mentors since we did have some time constraints and schedule conflicts.
I really appreciated having the different mentors come in. That way we worked with different ones each time. It was somebody that hadn't seen us speak before or had seen us speak several times, and they were able to give us a little bit of better feedback.
Before we dismissed the Toastmasters and gave them their certificates, we wanted to be sure that they received an official invitation to join Toastmasters. Who would be better for this than none other than Gil Smith, one of the longest standing Toastmasters I've ever known.
42 years in, and I'm still learning something. And so that's why I'm here. You can learn to play the piano as a youngster, and you'll still remember most of it when you're an adult. But if you don't practice all the time, continuously, you will get rusty. And that's what Toastmasters is to me. It's being a better me, a better dad, a better husband, a better boss, a better coach, a better volunteer. I believe in Toastmasters strongly enough that I got my daughter involved in it.
I really hope by now you're thinking, maybe we should do this in our club. But is it really worth the effort? It is worth the effort. Let's see what the recent Speechcraft attendees had to say.
I loved the positive atmosphere, the fun environment, and I love the just little baby doses of things to work on. That was incredible. And last, I really appreciated the push to do weekly speeches. I wasn't expecting when I said yes to Marcy. I had no idea that I would be sitting scribbling down notes every week to develop a speech. And I like that healthy dose of encouragement that helped us step up to the table. And everybody did a great job.
So I've had a lot of experience with public speaking. I don't have a great deal of difficulty in terms of being really nervous or uncomfortable with it. But what I haven't had is an opportunity to really learn from a master, and that's what this program provided me. Being part of this group and having the mutual support system while learning was a really amazing experience. It was much, much better in that regard than I expected. I thought it would be, here we have a lecture from somebody who's talking at us, and it was a very collaborative, interactive experience.
I feel like I have some great tools to remember as I'm preparing my speech. I thought the evaluations would be a very scary thing, to have somebody look at me and give me critiques. But it's been really nice to know what things I excel at and what things I really need to work on. It took what I was reading online, really gave me that visual aspect to help my brain soak it in a little bit better.
The mentors were really helpful. They had a lot of good advice. All of them kind of gave different tips, but they all kind of worked together to build you into a better speaker. Yeah, they had a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom to give, and like 140 years between all of them, probably something like that. I would recommend this to people who haven't tried Toastmasters. If you're hesitant or you're not sure you want to commit to something like that, this would be a good way to get your toes wet and kind of see what it's all about, because it runs pretty much just like a Toastmasters meeting.
This is the first Speechcraft that I've ever visited and observed. I love being able to be part of it. I am impressed because it is a quick crash course. The thing about normal meetings versus this is that you either give a speech or you have one role. Marcy had these people getting on their feet 5, 6, 7 times. It was awesome. I would have been nervous if I were them doing this for the first time. So to see what all Marcy has put together and everything that they've achieved over the last 6 weeks, it's very impressive.
I would like to take some time to share with you what I learned through the experience of presenting a Speechcraft program. The first thing is to be sure you review all of the materials that are available on Toastmasters before you spend $50 to buy the online bundle. It is not something where you have to buy it before you know what's inside it. There are training videos and tutorials. You can also look up what other people have to say about Speechcraft on YouTube. Going into putting on the program, you'll want to know what you're getting into as far as how many volunteers you're going to need, what kind of resources are going to be needed, what kind of time commitment you're looking at before you spend that $50 on the bundle. I had guests come to help me with the program that were outside of my regular club. That might sound typical because I didn't hold the Speechcraft program within my club meetings. However, even if you hold your Speechcraft program in your own club meetings, reach out to the other clubs, reach out to community members. When you bring in guest speakers, you're going to give not only the Speechcraft participants, but your club members an opportunity to learn something new from someone that they haven't maybe heard before. This would allow your Speechcraft experience at your club not just to take over your club meetings, but it adds a value to your own club members as the Speechcrafters are also getting acclimated to Toastmasters. One thing that I did not do, which I wish I had done, is set up some sort of meeting, whether it's on the phone, whether it's through Zoom or in person, with everyone who's going to come on your team as a Speechcraft guide. Set the expectations up front so that they know what type of time commitment you're asking of them. There is a nice description of what's expected of a Speechcraft guide that is available through the program. I think I shared it at least once, if not twice, in this training, and then talk it over with the people you are going to have as mentors for your participants. Having that meeting with the guides would have been very beneficial in planning. The next thing I would say, which could tag along with the Speechcraft guide comments, that is your presenters. Whoever is going to be presenting your education session, make sure you let them know that they can get credit and should get credit in their Pathways learning experience. If it's within the regular club setting, it seems to be more default that way, and it seems to be natural. But when I had my program, I was reminding anyone who spoke that they should also apply to get credit for that presentation. The next piece of advice I would have is to make sure you arrive early and you are set up and ready to go before the Speechcraft participants arrive. You want to make this space that you are going to be meeting in look as professional as you are in your regular club meetings. Have the Toastmasters banner presented. Have the flag if that's a tradition at your club. Make sure the tables are set up in a way that is conducive of a great learning experience for everyone. Be sure to have the podium or lectern set up in a way that allows everyone to easily see the speaker. Make sure you do give the speaker guides an outline of what is going to be expected of them during that 10-minute break in the meeting for the speaker guide workshop. Maybe give them some notes on what they should cover. Cover the evaluation they received during the meeting. Talk about what they are going to be presenting next. Give them some tips maybe that were not heard during their evaluation that could help them. Don't overwhelm them, but to help them to grow. And make sure, even during the speaker guide workshop, that the guides are encouraging and not just giving critique. One thing that I really enjoyed and the participants loved was that at the end, after all of our meetings, we ended up having a celebration lunch. We went to a local restaurant and had a relaxing, no stress lunch. That's where I ended up giving out the certificates of completion for the Speechcraft. When you are planning your sessions and you are looking through your agenda, make sure you have people assigned to the roles you plan to have in your Speechcraft. You don't want to be scrambling at the last minute trying to figure out how you yourself are going to take care of 8 different roles in the meeting. You want to make sure you have people, your speaker guides, your guest speakers, all lined up in place so that you can have a successful meeting. If someone cancels last minute, then you can rely upon the volunteers or people who are there to fill those extra roles. Don't be afraid to make the agenda work for you. I ended up changing the format of the agenda a little bit, both visually and structure-wise, to suit the needs that I felt the Speechcrafters really needed in this experience. If you do end up using the agenda the exact way that Toastmasters has laid out, it's going to be awesome. It looks clean and professional. You don't have to change everything. You don't have to change anything. It is truly a turnkey program. Toastmasters is always working on improving their systems. And if you've been in Toastmasters for more than a few minutes, you know that things have changed a lot and technology is changing rapidly. That's no different for dealing with the online portal. I did feel that the online portal was overly complicated for what the Speechcraft program was. The training was great, the tools were great, the resources were awesome. Just the user interface of the system was complicated. I know, again, like I said, Toastmasters is constantly improving things. When I was overwhelmed with the complexity or wasn't sure exactly where to find something or how to do something like validate the speeches, for example, I reached out to the Speechcraft support and they responded so quickly to my questions. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I know that sometimes we get overwhelmed with the technology changes and how complicated things seem to be, but truly, if you're not sure what to do, ask for help. Just as you're going to present a professional looking Toastmasters space for your Speechcraft, you'll want to make sure that you too are dressed professionally. What is the impression you want the Speechcrafters to have of Toastmasters? Do you want it to be professional? Do you want it to be casual? I find that making it more professional is better. I was actually dressed most of the time more professionally than the Speechcrafters were. I recommended a business casual dress code for them to present. Sometimes the Speechcrafters would be in jeans and a nice shirt, and sometimes they would be in a suit. I would encourage not only you, but also to let the people who are going to be speaking as guests and your Speechcraft guides or any other Toastmaster who's going to be present to try to rise to the occasion to exhibit those professional qualities that we are looking for in Toastmasters. And I think a big part of that is how you present yourself professionally. Just think about when you are presenting. If you're on stage in front of hundreds of people, how would you want to look? You should arrive early to set up and make sure the space is perfect. I would also challenge you to invite the other Toastmasters who are going to support your program. If they don't typically arrive early for a Toastmasters meeting, this would be the time for them to arrive early. The Speechcraft participants are more than likely going to arrive 5 or 10 minutes early, especially when giving a prepared speech. You don't want them to show up and the space not be set up or no other Toastmasters to be there. What if they have questions? If they need to have an answer to something, or they're preparing their materials, or maybe they have a technology presentation, you want to make sure not only you are there early, you'll want to make sure your other Toastmaster volunteers can be there early too. You may be helping someone else. You may be setting up. You'll want to have the extra support so that they can help with any of those questions. As in every Toastmasters program, you do want to make sure you start on time and you end on time. One of the standards we have in Toastmasters is to make sure we start on time and we end on time, if not early. In the Speechcraft program, especially when you have at least 5 learners that are going to be absorbing all this information, there's a good chance that that 10-minute speaker guide workshop during the meeting may not be enough to answer all their questions or to talk about everything they want to talk about. So that time after the meeting, if you end early, you're not imposing on all the other volunteer Toastmasters schedules by asking them to hang out a few minutes after. During your meeting with the Speechcraft program, make sure you do take time to explain the different meeting roles. You might even take time during one of them to go through what a typical Toastmasters meeting agenda looks like. The program that I held recently didn't have it verbatim like our Toastmasters meeting, but we referenced the roles, we explained the roles, and told them what would be expected at a typical meeting. Something that we encourage during the Speechcraft sessions, and I would say that you should definitely encourage, is having the Speechcrafters attend other Toastmasters meetings during the Speechcraft program. If they don't join Toastmasters right away, of course, continue to attend meetings until they're ready to take that next step. When the Speechcrafters go and experience other club meetings, they can see where the skills are used, where they are applied, and they can get a broader experience of what Toastmasters will offer them. I know I shouldn't say this, but sometimes your club may not be the best fit for a particular Speechcrafter. When they go out and explore other clubs, maybe they'll find a club that's more geared towards professional speakers, or maybe towards hobbyists, or maybe even a corporate or organization that is hosting a club. It is possible that not every Toastmaster will be best suited for your club. I don't think we should be in competition in Toastmasters. I think we should encourage people to be part of Toastmasters, not just if they're going to be in our club, but truly tailor the experience to what individual people need. I did mention about hosting a Speechcraft program in your own club or in an organization outside your club. One thing I don't think I mentioned is that you can also maybe petition a corporation, whether it's the one that you work in or another one as a possibility for a place to host some training. If it's a skill that you're working on and you want to get connected into business coaching, for example, maybe you could bring it up as something that you could present to benefit a local business. When you set expectations for your Speechcraft program, it allows everyone to understand what goes into it, the time frame, and things will run much more smoothly. For those of you who don't know this, conducting a Speechcraft program checks a box to earn your DTM. I can't wait to hear about your next Speechcraft experience. I have shared a lot of information with you about my experience conducting a Speechcraft program. The overall experience was really great for me. I got to learn a lot about different programs that Toastmasters International has to offer. I also grew as a speaker and an individual. Even in creating this training video, I learned a lot about what I do poorly when watching myself back on video. I learned I use the word awesome a lot. I learned a lot about what I am actually capable of when I put my mind to it. I really had a tremendous experience presenting the Speechcraft program. However, I didn't do it alone. I had a lot of people on my team. I had members from the Vineyard Toastmasters Club, including Alan Shaner, Mindy Mandel, Mahoda Williams from the Greater Greenwood Club came and helped out. I also had a former Toastmaster, Jack Christie, who was able to help out. I had members of my own home club who hosted the program, the president, the past president, the treasurer, and other members of our club, all chipped in to present an amazing experience for the Speechcraft participants. If you've watched this video and you're thinking, wow, that's a lot, I took several weeks of researching the program and looking into the different materials before I even got started. It just takes one step at a time. It is a lot easier to conduct the program once you've reviewed all the materials that Toastmasters has on the online portal. There were times during the program when I had questions about the program itself. I wasn't sure how to do something specific, like make sure that the speeches given were validated. I reached out to the Speechcraft help email, and I got a response within a day to tell me exactly the steps I needed to take to make things happen. I do hope that you will consider being a coordinator for a Speechcraft program in your own club. If you have an idea of where you would like to start a new club, know that the district will help you get that started. You can choose an organization or a location to host the program at, just like I did. The Speechcraft program is a really terrific way to introduce Toastmasters to new potential members. If you were to conduct an open house, and then after the open house, within a few weeks, you held a Speechcraft program, just imagine the growth your club is going to have in the future. Your club will be a membership magnet. If you have any questions at all about how to conduct a Speechcraft, or you have questions about what you've just seen in this video, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would be happy to answer your questions and connect with you. Thank you for joining me in this Speechcraft training. I would like to give a special thanks to all the Toastmasters from different clubs who supported me in the Speechcraft program. From Vineyard Toastmasters, Alan Shaner, Mindy Mandel, and Heather Mandel. From the Indie Free Speakers, Graham Honecker, Laura Bean, Gil Smith, Brittany Smith, Earl Dunnigan. And from Greater Greenwood, Mahoda Williams. I also want to give a shout out to the Speechcrafters who really rocked this program. Brian Walker, Tracy Ray Nearson, Annette Jukes, and Jake Vandiver. I am not Marcy. Today, I am, if you are conducting a Speechcraft, you may want to be different. Again.